Welcome to the Chronicles Reports. I am your host, Chronicles. Today, we are investigating a geopolitical transformation that is sending shockwaves across the globe. For decades, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates stood as the closest of allies, indisputable pillars of regional stability in a volatile Middle East. But today, that partnership has fractured, evolving into a Cold War defined by deep-seated mistrust, fierce economic competition, and strategic proxy clashes. Is the Arabian Peninsula on the verge of a direct military confrontation? Today, we go beyond the headlines to explore the historical roots, the economic divergence, and the high-stakes political chess match that impacts the global economy and your daily life. This is a deep dive into contemporary history, reported with factual precision. Let's explore the story. To understand the friction of 2026, we must first analyze the distinct historical foundations of these two powerhouses. Saudi Arabia's journey began in the 18th century. It was a unique fusion where the House of Saud merged political power with spiritual authority. This historical alliance culminated in the 1932 creation of the kingdom, a state defined by its sacred duty as the guardian of Islam's holiest sites and its possession of the world's most significant oil reserves. In contrast, the United Arab Emirates followed a maritime path, long known as the Trucial States. These sheikdoms existed under British protection from the 19th century until 1971. Their independence was not born from a single centralized monarchy like their neighbor, but from a complex federal structure. Despite these different origins, they were joined at the hip for decades. Why? Because they faced the same existential threats, revolutionary ideologies, the rise of a Shia theocracy in Iran, and a mutual reliance on Western security, specifically the United States. This led to the 1981 formation of the Gulf Cooperation Council, GCC, to present a united front to the world. So, what changed? The argument we are making here at the Chronicles Reports is that this rift was an inevitable byproduct of economic evolution. Following the turn of the millennium, the UAE, under a dynamic, outward-facing leadership, embarked on a radical mission to diversify its economy. Cities like Dubai and Abu Dhabi were aggressively rebranded and transformed into global hubs for finance, international tourism, and logistics. Meanwhile, for a significant period, Saudi Arabia remained anchored to a conservative hierarchy that was heavily dependent on traditional oil revenues. This created a fundamental shift in the personality of these states. The UAE evolved into a global commercial powerhouse, while Saudi Arabia remained the traditional regional heavyweight. This led to an intense competition for economic resources and political influence. When two giants occupy the same space with different goals, friction is the only logical outcome. This economic competition was fanned into a literal flame by the civil war in Yemen. In 2014, when Iranian-aligned Houthi militias seized the capital, both Riyadh and Abu Dhabi stepped in to intervene. However, as the conflict dragged on, their strategic visions moved in opposite directions. Saudi Arabia's focus remained on defeating the Houthis, securing its immediate border, and restoring the central Yemeni government. The UAE's focus shifted toward controlling strategic ports and waterways in southern Yemen, while building ties with local separatist groups. By 2019, the mask had fallen. The UAE began openly supporting the Southern Transitional Council, the very group fighting the Saudi-backed government they had originally set out to protect. This proxy conflict escalated dramatically in late 2025 and early 2026, with clashes over sensitive border areas. The stakes are no longer just regional, they are personal. Let's analyze the weight of this argument. This is a fight for the very nature of leadership in the Gulf, but why should you care? Because in our interconnected global society, stability in the Gulf is synonymous with energy security and global market stability. Economic costs. A direct war would be catastrophic. It would shatter investor confidence and scare off foreign residents, potentially unraveling decades of development in both nations. Global volatility. A bilateral conflict here could draw in external superpowers, transforming a local rift into a global crisis that affects gas prices and supply chains from London to New York. Impact on daily life. For the millions of expatriates living in the UAE and Saudi Arabia, this tension is not academic. It dictates their sense of security, their job market, and the long-term viability of their livelihoods. We must also explore the cultural and linguistic roots of this argument. The House of Saud carries the weight of historical spiritual legitimacy. They see themselves as the natural leaders of the Sunni world. Conversely, the UAE's federal identity is built on modern commercial pragmatism. Think of it as two distinct archetypes clashing for the same 21st century stage. The traditional guardian versus the modern merchant. These personal influences on the leadership drive the arguments made in diplomatic chambers today. Is a full-scale war likely? The evidence suggests the answer is no. Both nations have simply too much to lose. What we are witnessing is the birth of a sustained strategic rivalry, a future marked by occasional crises and an uneasy competitive coexistence. The story of Saudi-UAE relations is a masterclass in how shared interests can be eroded by shifting economic models and differing geopolitical goals. As they navigate this dangerous relationship, the world watches. Because when the pillars of the Gulf shake, the whole world feels the tremor. Thank you for joining us for this report. I am Chronicles, and this has been the Chronicles Reports. Stay informed, and we will see you in the next report.